Today from the Global Lane, justice delayed in Pakistan. Asia Bibi must wait for a final ruling in her blasphemy case. Former FBI lawyer spills the beans, but time may be running out for Republicans to get to the truth. For campus outrage spilling over to Capitol Hill. This time a Georgetown professor tweets, white men supporting Justice Kavanaugh deserve death and castration. And guess who's calling for toughness and civility in American politics? Is this what Democrats need if they're to win? And it's all right here, right now, from the Global Lane. The Pakistan Supreme Court has delayed announcing a final decision in the case of Christian mother Asia Bibi. She's been jailed since June 2009 and was convicted of blasphemy against the Muslim prophet Muhammad. If the court upholds lower court rulings, she could become the first woman executed for blasphemy in Pakistan. Well, here to discuss more of the court's disappointing delay is British Pakistani Christian Association Chairman Wilson Chowdhury. He recently met with Asia Bibi's husband and her oldest daughter. So, Wilson, tell us a little bit about your meeting. Asia had waited another 2 years for a decision on her final appeal. What happened, Wilson?
I would assume that the reason for the delay is there is going to be an attempt to provide the decision after ensuring safety for Asia Bibi and making sure protective measures are in place.
So what do you think is going to happen here, Wilson? Will they probably slip her out in the middle of the night quietly and her family and get them out of the country? What's going to happen with that?
It can only be an assumption, anything that I say, but it makes most sense to me that there's no other reason for a reservation but an attempt to ensure her safety before the decision is made. What
is the reaction of Christians in Pakistan, also from Asia's family?
Overall, I think Pakistani Christians up and down Pakistan, across the country, globally, they all believe she's about to be set free. And I can tell you there is a simmering of joy that hasn't yet exploded, but will once we hear that good news.
So tell us now about her health.
A reporter who has met with Asia Bibi is very concerned that she's being labelled as crazy because she seems to suffer memory loss and isn't aware of her surroundings and in a situational context. Then the assistant nurse believes that she's got a dementia-like mental health concern, and she and the BPCA have been calling for immediate health assessment of Asia Bibi. Again, this isn't going to be forthcoming in Pakistani prisons. It's very rare for anybody to get an adequate level of treatment. But we have serious reservations about her health and believe that there is some serious mental trauma.
Wilson, how much time are we talking about here before we finally find out what the verdict is, if it is positive? Weeks, months?
It's very hard to say. Again, this will be a Pakistani court and government decision, I'm sure. I'm sure there's lots of conversations happening in the background that we won't be privy to. But obviously, from what we've seen previously, the Pakistani government it doesn't ever seem to be in any rush to bring justice to this woman. Neither do the law courts. I mean, it's taken 6 months since Chief Justice Saqib Nisar communicated that Asia Bibi would be having a Supreme Court appeal. That 6 months has now passed since she's had that appeal, and now they're reserving a decision. It could be anything up to a further 6 months, I would suggest, and even longer if that's how they feel it's best to bring the country to a level of safety before they release the verdict.
And what can our viewers do? How can they pray?
I would continue to campaign. We have petitions on our website. People can sign those. Our latest petition is a call from Ashik Masih himself, who believes Asia Bibi will be set free. And he is concerned that most countries that are offering the family asylum are not offering it to the entire family. Asia Bibi has been without her daughters, her 5 children now for 9 years. Potentially 10 by the time a judgment may come out. The family are hoping and praying that a Western country will offer asylum to every single one of their family members. And that's, we do have a petition for that on our website. Other things you have to pray for is obviously the expedition of this reservation and for the verdict to be pronounced. And obviously for the country to be safe when that happens. I mean, what we really need to pray is that the Pakistani government is able to fathom a way in which to appease all parties, because the major concern that will be left once Asia Bibi is exonerated is, will other Christians be safe in Pakistan, or will retribution be taken against them? These are the things we really have to be praying for.
Okay, a lot to be praying for. Wilson Chowdhury, British Pakistani Christians, thank you for joining us.
God Almighty is a God of blessing. He always wants to bless his people. But how do you get that blessing? And what principles will unlock that secret?
In Miraculous Blessings, Pat Robertson shows you how to open the floodgates of God's awesome blessings in your life.
In order to have a blessing, you've got to be blessable.
Discover what the Bible has to say about God's covenant of blessing, the laws of blessing, and what are the hindrances to the blessings of God.
The words of Jesus, they are as valid as the law of gravity, and if we follow those laws, we will be blessed.
You'll see amazing true stories of everyday people whose lives were rescued and transformed by God's miraculous blessings.
But even the doctors acknowledged that this had to be a miracle.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or visit CBN.com to become a CBN partner and get miraculous blessings today.
Hello, I'm Terry Newsom. Did you know there are more than 148 million orphans in the world today? 148 million. But it was 3 little girls that taught me about the plight of orphans. My husband and I spent nearly a month immersed in the daily activities of a Ukrainian orphanage as we waited to adopt 3 sisters. I saw firsthand the utter loneliness, the pain of rejection, and the overwhelming desire to be loved. That experience changed me forever. And out of it grew a ministry from my heart called Orphans Promise. Today, we're helping orphans and vulnerable children in more than 50 countries worldwide. Thousands of children are now in safe homes. They're being educated, and they're learning life skills. I'm asking you to join with me and become family to these children. Will you call the number on your screen right now? Because every child deserves a chance to be happy.
Republicans on the House Intelligence Committee now say they have proof that the FBI misled the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court when it sought warrants to spy on Donald Trump's presidential campaign. They say it was all part of a Democratic Party-led effort that co-opted the FBI into leading the effort to prevent the election of Donald Trump. Well, joining us with more is former federal prosecutor Sidney Powell. She worked for 10 years under 9 U.S. attorneys, both Democrats and Republicans. Ms. Powell is author of the legal thriller License to Die, exposing corruption in the Department of Justice. So, Ms. Powell, I guess the truth is stranger than fiction here. Former top attorney at the FBI, James Baker, says a Democrat-connected lawyer gave him the fake dossier on Donald Trump. At the time, Baker reported to FBI Director James Comey. So what do you make of this political connection and top officials at the FBI using the dossier to get FISA warrants without informing the FISA court of the source?
Well, unfortunately, the FBI has been full of political operatives for at least the last 8 years, probably longer than that, and Department of Justice, too. I mean, I published License to Lie in 2014, and it named names. So this has been going on for quite a long time. It really came to its peak with the presidential campaigns and election of 2016. We've never before seen conduct like the FBI agents and DOJ high officials and private counsel and Christopher Steele and the Clinton campaign and the DNC all conspiring literally to frame President Trump, incoming President Trump, first to try to stop his election and then to set about a course to impeach him if he won. So this is absolutely unprecedented conduct, the likes of which we've never seen before, but it's very real, and more evidence is coming out about it every day.
So this is more than just conspiracy theory. We know that emails suggest there was never an actual hearing for any of the warrants allowing the monitoring of American citizen Carter Page. Now, was that a violation of DOJ rules or a departure from normal procedure? Your thoughts?
No, that part is normal. Courts rarely hold hearings before issuing warrants. The problem with the FISA court is exacerbated in this situation, however, because they sought a warrant against an American national when that shouldn't even happen absent absolutely compelling evidence that they are acting as a foreign agent. I read the Steele dossier myself and the FISA applications to the extent they were unredacted. They were the most specious and baseless warrant applications I've ever seen. You couldn't get a warrant against a known drug dealer based on the allegations that were contained in those documents.
After meeting with Rod Rosenstein on Air Force One, the president said he will not fire the Deputy Attorney General. So should he fire Rosenstein?
I think Rosenstein has been given enough rope. He's effectively hanged himself. It's just a matter of timing. And yes, at some time he's going to have to fire Rosenstein because enough evidence is going to come out that makes it clear that Rosenstein was either a knowing co-conspirator or an absolute idiot. Rosenstein signed the FISA application by his own admission without reading it. There's no way you would sign, any reasonable lawyer at the top of any organization would sign an application against an American citizen without reading the warrant application, knowing that it will give access to Bob Mueller, in this case, of absolutely anything he wants with anybody who contacted Carter Page or other people in the campaign.
Now, how about Attorney General Jeff Sessions after the midterm election? Should he the president name a new Attorney General who will not recuse himself from overseeing Mueller's Russia investigation?
I think he probably will. I'm not sure he would absolutely have to if he replaced Rosenstein. For one thing, Sessions has said if Rosenstein's fired, he'll go too. But if he didn't, as long as there was a good Deputy Attorney General, Sessions could continue as Attorney General. But I think the president wants a strong Attorney General in the first place. So it wouldn't surprise me if both of them don't go.
Okay, Ms. Powell, how do we expect all of this is going to play out? How do you expect it'll play out before the midterm election and then the impact it may have on voters? We've got less than 30 days to go. Right.
I think the American public is now incentivized to really get out and vote after what we've seen with respect to the horrible way Brett Kavanaugh was treated in the confirmation process and the extent to which the Democrats are willing to go. There's no low that's too low for them, apparently, in their politics of personal destruction. It's like political roller derby. But we're still waiting for the report of the Inspector General for the Department of Justice on all the FISA abuses and the mess that was going on in the FBI and DOJ running up to the election and then afterwards leading to the appointment of Mueller, which was a completely fraudulent appointment. It should never have happened. So there's a lot that's going to come out in that report. And then if
do you expect that report to come out before the election?
I wish it would, but it's been too quiet, so I don't think it's going to. I still think the president may have to unclassify a lot of that material for the public to see it.
Well, finally,
every time they hide something with redactions, they're doing it to protect themselves. And every time it's been unredacted, we've been able to see that.
And finally, if the Democrats regain the House of Representatives, what might happen? Will House oversight efforts to get at the truth be shut down?
Oh, yes. The Democrats have already made it plain that they will shut down the current investigations and open investigations into things that just to further impede the president. It would be horrible. These are the most important midterms this country has ever faced. We need to give this president the support he needs to carry his agenda forward. Imagine what he could do if he were unleashed from the Mueller investigation, which has been a cloud over him the entire time, and actually had some support in Congress and the Senate enough to get things done.
Well, probably that's probably why it's still going on.
Yep.
Okay.
There's no limit to how great we could be.
Former federal prosecutor, legal analyst Sidney Powell, thanks so much for your insights.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Parents, the Superbook Bible app is a great way to get your child reading the Bible because in today's busy world, we can use some help. The free Superbook Bible app has fun stuff your kids will love. They'll have a blast learning the Bible, playing great games, watching cool videos, discovering heroes in the Bible. They'll have fun while they learn God's Word. The Superbook Kids Bible app, available now.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
We had 4 jobs that didn't go right, but we didn't waver in our faith.
That's when God put on my heart that we needed to do the well.
Within a couple of days, we got an insurance refund check that we had no idea was coming.
And here we are, this year, it's just boom.
You go out and help other people and you get rewarded for it.
Get Pat Robertson's latest teaching, Miraculous Blessings.
The Brett Kavanaugh Supreme Court battle may be over, but American college campuses are still hotbeds for leftist outrage. With Kavanaugh's confirmation fight, we saw how discontent and anger, often commonplace on college campuses, spilled over into mob actions on Capitol Hill. Sometimes young activism, even incitement to violence, are encouraged by college and university professors. Well, here to explain the latest at Georgetown University and elsewhere is Campus Reform's Emma Michelle.
Christine Fair at Georgetown University is employed by a Catholic institution that expresses Jesuit values, yet she called for the killing, castration, and feeding to pigs of white male Republican senators. And this is very concerning to see from a Catholic university. And this is something that we should all be concerned by, because she teaches at the School of Security Studies, which is a place where we've had a president, 15 congressmen, 74 ambassadors, as well as the current Secretary of Homeland Security have gone to this school. And it's very concerning to see this because it's not just crossing a boundary of saying that your political opponents should be killed, but it's actually crossing a boundary into dangerous territory. And we see that on the left, people tend to take this language and they go run with it and they turn it into actual action. 100 people over the weekend were arrested at these Brett Kavanaugh confirmation hearings. And a good personal friend of mine posted a picture with a sign that said, "I stand with Brett Kavanaugh." And in her comments section on Instagram, she was told that she should be killed, that she had probably been raped by Brett Kavanaugh. And this is something that's so disgusting to see. And it's beyond politics. It's gone beyond right versus left, and it's gone into this mob mentality of vigilante justice.
And it all begins on college campuses. Now, I understand Georgetown announced Professor Fair has been removed from teaching. She's now overseas, involved in university research. So was that action appropriate? Did it go far enough?
Well, I think it's ultimately up to the university, but it's very concerning for us to see that she was saying these things. She's still a teacher at the school, even though she's been placed into this research leave, whatever that means. Hopefully she's not doing any research about due process or about how we should treat other people or human dignity, because she clearly does not understand how that works.
Please tell us about the latest course that's being offered at Vermont's Green Mountain College.
Green Mountain College in Vermont was offering a pop-up course called Brett Kavanaugh, Boys Will Be Boys. And this course, shockingly, not so shocking at all actually, is assuming that Brett Kavanaugh is guilty. And this is something that should also concern us a lot, because universities are supposed to be institutions of scholarship, research, debate, where if anyone should be taking due process very seriously, it should be our colleges and our universities. However, they're taking the complete opposite action. They are turning towards rushing to guilt, rushing to assume that people are guilty of unspeakable things, and ruining people's lives without even thinking twice about it. This is a very concerning thing to see on a college campus, and ultimately leads to a greater issue of college students being indoctrinated and taught that due process doesn't matter, facts do not matter. All that matters is taking shots at your political opponents.
And getting college credit for that. So,
yes.
But tell me, what's wrong with discussing sexual assault on campus? After all, it is a big problem, is it not?
There is nothing wrong with discussing sexual assault, and I think it's something that we should be taking very, very seriously. Sexual assault is wrong, and it happens very frequently, and it's something that is real and something that should really be addressed. I think that it's very important to take these things with a healthy dose of caution. We need to proceed carefully. We need to proceed paying close attention to the facts, close attention to evidence and detail. And I think that if a woman has been a victim of sexual assault, she deserves to be treated with dignity and respect. That is not how Christine Blasey Ford has been treated by the Democrats.
So are ultra-feminists now dominating and creating an unfair narrative of men? Is this a growing trend, and what needs to be done about it?
Well, at the Leadership Institute's campus reform, we cover this pretty widely. And we covered when the University of Virginia story broke from Rolling Stone about the alleged gang rape that was happening in a fraternity there. It all turned out to be completely false. And those fraternity brothers are still putting their lives back together, even though they're 100% innocent. And the Duke lacrosse case, we saw that that was another story that turned out to be completely different than the narrative the media and the left and the college had spun. It's very important that we pay attention to these stories, and it's also important that we discuss them, but we have to discuss them with reason and with debate and paying close attention to the facts. This is a widespread narrative, and this is something that's a pattern and that's been happening across campuses, and we've covered it widely. And it's really important that we treat these people coming forward with these allegations with the utmost of dignity and respect. And it's important that moving forward, we fix this issue, and the best way to do that is to start at the college campus, where these students, these legal scholars, are all getting their educations and where they're starting out.
Okay, Emma Michel of Campus Reform, thank you for setting us straight today.
Thank you.
When you give, smiles grow bigger. When you care, homes are happier. When you comfort, the hurt goes away. When we all come together to love, miracles happen.
Hello, I'm Terry Newsom. Did you know there are more than 148 million orphans in the world today? 148 million. But it was 3 little girls that taught me about the plight of orphans. My husband and I spent nearly a month immersed in the daily activities of a Ukrainian orphanage as we waited to adopt 3 sisters. I saw firsthand the utter loneliness, the pain of rejection, and the overwhelming desire to be loved. That experience changed me forever. And out of it grew a ministry from my heart called Orphans Promise. Today, we're helping orphans and vulnerable children in more than 50 countries worldwide. Thousands of children are now in safe homes. They're being educated, and they're learning life skills. I'm asking you to join with me and become family to these children. Will you call the number on your screen right now? Because every child deserves a chance to be happy.
Hello? Is this thing on? Hey, kids, do you love games? And do you love discovering things? Well, do ya?
Then you're gonna love this. It's the new free Superbook Kids Bible app. You can play games, watch videos, find answers to your questions, and a whole lot more. The new Superbook Kids Bible app. Free downloads available on iTunes and Google Play now.
Hillary Clinton says she and husband Bill believe Democrats must get tougher to counter Republicans. She says civility can only be restored to the nation if Democrats win back the House and Senate next month. Mrs. Clinton, is this the civility you're talking about? Most informed people know it was Democratic activists, not Republicans, who were seen throwing little temper tantrums, scratching and pounding on the doors of the Supreme Court building. And I don't believe Republican activists are cornering senators in elevators to shame them. Uncivil Republicans aren't the ones protesting in front of congressmen's homes, doxing their phone numbers, or preventing them from enjoying a night out at their favorite restaurant. Yes, for years, the Clintons have blamed everybody but themselves for their troubles. Remember the vast right-wing conspiracy? Well, now, years later, Mrs. Clinton blames her 2016 election loss on Russian collusion. Maybe the Clintons should look in the mirror. People are tired of them and dirty politics. Few Democratic candidates in this midterm election want the Clintons campaigning for them. The Democrat strategy is to use Brett Kavanaugh's confirmation to the U.S. Supreme Court as a campaign issue to get more women out to vote. Bill Clinton wouldn't really help that effort because he's treated women worse over the years than Kavanaugh was accused of doing 36 years ago. And Mrs. Clinton, you criticized Republicans for their, quote, lust for power that is funded by corporate interests who want a government that does its bidding. Again, look in the mirror. Isn't that exactly what you did when you signed off on the Uranium One deal, the agreement that allowed 20% of U.S. uranium to be sent to Russia? And what about funds that flowed in and out of the Clinton Foundation? People in Haiti say they're still waiting for the millions they never received. And many Americans still can't get over that reset button with the Russians in 2009. How is this for toughness?
We want to reset our relationship. And
let's do it together.
So we will do it together, okay?
It was actually that reset weakness during Mrs. Clinton's tenure as Secretary of State that caused the Russians to occupy Crimea in 2014. And just how tough was Hillary Clinton against foreign hackers when she used an unsecure computer server at her home to send and receive classified U.S. government emails? And American patriots will never forget Mrs. Clinton's lack of toughness in Benghazi. 4 Americans, including U.S. Ambassador Chris Stevens, died there as a result. So now Hillary and the former president say they want to restore toughness and civility to American politics. Democrats, is this the best you can do this election year? If you're looking to the Clintons as examples of toughness and civility, who needs it? If the DNC is sincere, maybe it should do more soul-searching, a little less finger-pointing. Maybe it should look to Democrats other than the Clintons, like Joe Lieberman or even Jimmy Carter, to lead the way. Well, that's it from the Global Lane. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, and Twitter. And now 24/7 on the CBN News Channel on broadcast television. And until next time, be blessed.